And welcome back to all my Bi-Conic fanatics out there to another Beat the Clock TV review for another edition of Monday Night Raw. I can't even fake it this time around, man. Lord
It
have
wasn't that bad. It's just, we need to get JBL in here to do an accountability corner and get mad about how they're booking the women's division. Everything else was fine.
It was so weird. Yeah, because everything it wasn't the greatest thing, but it wasn't the worst thing. But I guess the best way to describe it, I have a lot of questions in regards to what happened to the women's division this week and what's been going on. Like, this is the go home show before SummerSlam, and while some storyline it was weird all over the place because some feuds progressed a tiny bit, but not really. But yeah, I'm gonna save it when we get to these certain segments. But I just have a lot of questions as to why, how, where did we go from here? How did we get here? Like it. Yeah, I'm just gonna wait until we get those segments. But yeah, I kind of agree with you. This week it wasn't bad, but I just have lots of questions.
I always have a bunch of questions
Yeah.
about everything to do on Raw. I have no idea.
Yeah, so let's just jump straight into it. So, first things first, Raw kicks off this week, not with Judgment Day like they have for the last 2 to 3 weeks, but we start with Logan Paul coming down to the ring and trying to cut a promo about how he's the greatest, how him and Ricochet are going to create magic, but, Ricochet ate him, and then Ricochet interrupts. Man, Logan's the perfect person to do this because everything was going fine. They shake hands, they do a fist bump, and then Logan has to mention that Samantha Irving, who is one of the ring announcers for Raw, who happens to also be engaged to Ricochet, the fact that he's like, I hope you don't, Ricochet, I don't hope you don't have a problem with yo woman says my name after the match. I'm like, there it is. There it is. And then, of course, Ricochet wasn't having that disrespect, and they brawled.
He's gotten so much better on the mic.
Who, Ricochet?
Logan.
Oh, yeah. I like that Logan's actually, like, leaning more into the heel. Like, he seems more comfortable with being in the heel position. And I was just like, okay, this is a decent promo. And then that ending happened. I'm like, yep, there we go.
Oh, yeah. He listened to his podcast and everything like that. He's actually, listen to his actual podcast because it's actually not that bad when he has wrestlers on. He was talking with Seth and he was just like, I didn't want people to boo me. Now I love it. He likes being this little heel.
Right. And, I'll save my thoughts when we talk about the card that we have so far for SummerSlam at the end, but I think this will be a fun match. I just don't understand why this needed to be on SummerSlam, but, that's fine. So, after this, we get a backstage interview with Imperium, which basically is literally do or die for Mr. Ludwig Kaiser because he's been messing it up lately for Imperium. And so Gunther literally lays out if he doesn't win, there's going to be problems. So in my mind, they telegraphed, all right, he's probably winning this match. I'm like, but who's he fighting though? It was really tough because, you're supposed to enhance this feud and to keep building it between Gunther and Drew. But the fact that Drew wasn't on Raw this week makes it very difficult.
Weird. Yeah, it was weird. But this is another thing I learned when I rewatched Raw. Because this is another match that happened in the beginning, right? Between Riddle and Kaiser.
Yeah, this literally happened in the first hour.
Yep, didn't see it. I'm rewatching it, by the way. I'm watching this on, I don't want to say their names. I don't want us to get in trouble in case this gets out there. But I'm rewatching it where, you can rewatch it. And they skipped things. I didn't see there was 2 matches that I didn't skip anything. I didn't skip nothing. I'm watching it as I'm eating some pizza. And nothing. It went from a Logan Paul segment to a really long video of Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes set up for SummerSlam.
We'll get to that.
Judgment Day.
That is so
like 2
weird.
matches I didn't see. Probably why the video was so damn.
That is very true.
You gotta cut this out because I gotta go to the bathroom because it just hit me.
I'll continue to talk.
So I apologize.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. Here we like to do things live and in person. So while my co-host is away for a little bit, so we get this backstage segment, which sets up Ludwig versus Matt Riddle. And I mean, Matt Riddle, I knew this match was going to be a lot of fun. I knew that this was going to be great. Both Ludwig and Matt Riddle are awesome. I know why we did it, due to the fact that Matt has been in Imperium business for quite some time now. And of course, because of, according to reports, Drew wasn't at Raw because he was filming a movie, but he will be there for SummerSlam on Saturday. I understand why, but it's really hard when you're trying to build a feud towards a pay per view and certain parties involved in said pay per view are not involved in it. But ultimately, this leads to the match Matt Riddle versus Ludwig Kaiser, which was a very stellar match. I will say at one point during the match, I thought Matt Riddle legit knocked out Ludwig Kaiser during the match, but thankfully everything seemed to be on the up and up. And I was really surprised. I thought Imperium was going to get involved and cost Matt the match, and then Ludwig would end up winning because of some shenanigans, but no. Gunther, towards the finishing sequence, yells at Ludwig he needs to get it together, like, you need to dig deep, all that kind of stuff. Matt Riddle tries to go for a finisher, but Ludwig dodges and then connects with, like, a kick to the head, pins Matt for the 1-2-3, and your winner of this match is Ludwig Kaiser. Post-match, the rest of Imperium, some Gunther and Giovanni Vinci, they come in and Gunther shakes Ludwig's hand, and so that means to tell me that everybody in Imperium's okay now. The teasing of the will they won't they break up with Imperium has been interesting, but I feel that we're done with this for a little bit now. And ultimately, Ludwig stands tall, is back in the good graces of the Ring General, and everything seems to be on the up and up. We're not done with Imperium, though, because we'll talk about them later in this review. So next up, we have this backstage interview, literally not that long after this promo that happened at the beginning of Raw, where Byron Saxton catches Logan Paul in the back, asking him a couple of questions, and literally this is just Logan hitting his greatest hits of what he's accomplished so far in WWE, and that on Saturday at SummerSlam, he is going to make Ricochet his quote-unquote bitch, so to speak, and he's gonna win. We'll talk a little bit more about this when we talk about the Raw side of things when it comes to the SummerSlam card, but I'm excited for this match. I think it's gonna be fun. I think the build to this, while it could have been better executed in some parts, I ultimately think that Ricochet and Logan Paul, I think it'll be phenomenal, but I feel like we could have gotten this match on a regular TV show. It doesn't need to be on the pay-per-view. I understand why it is, because Logan Paul draws eyes to the product, but we'll discuss that more, because this episode of Raw had me having lots of questions when it comes to why certain matches are not on SummerSlam, but we'll get to those in a bit. So after this backstage interview, we got a very long, and I mean a very long video package outlining and detailing the feud that has been going on between Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar. So before I begin dissecting the contents of said video package, the music choice was very fascinating for this. I've seen a lot of people online either say it was a cool choice, this was corny, and it's like a split 50-50 on the music choice. So if you're not aware, the song that was used in this video package is Daylight by David Kushner. It has recently gotten popularity on the social media apps. I think it's a phenomenal song, but like, the best way I could describe this video package with the song choice, it reminds me of like a high school senior video productions class. Like, this was their final assignment to create like a teaser trailer, mini documentary, whatever you want to call it. And because this is like high school in 2023, they picked this song because it was popular. It felt like a student project when it came to the music choice for this, but I liked the song, so I didn't have too much of an issue with it. I understand that we have to we have to review the builds to some of these matches towards the pay-per-views, and I understand that, but man, this was a long one. This was like a 5-minute video package outlining the whole entire feud of Cody versus Brock Lesnar. I thought it was well done. The only thing that they did not do, which lots of wrestling fans, myself included, have found themselves asking, is they recapped Backlash, Night of Champions, and everything in between. And the question I have with this whole video package is, why are these two fighting? Like, what was the cause for it? It makes no sense to me.
And why the fuck was it so damn long?
I just said this, Minnie. I was just like, this video package reminded me of like a senior project with the music choice and everything. I was just like, what is happening?
So weird.
I
was so confused.
See, and I would have been okay if this video package was the only thing we got of Brock versus Cody, but it made no sense to put this in the first hour because then we get Brock and Cody later in the show. But you know,
it was the go home show. So you know, they're both the big draws of the show. Cody Rhodes, Brock Lesnar, so they had to make an appearance because it's the go home show. But we didn't need a 15-minute video promo. I could have, you know, watched a couple matches instead of watched this goddamn video promo, but you know, they decided to put the video promo over the matches. So I couldn't see the matches.
This was a weird one.
I couldn't see Matt Riddle lose, and I was very sad because I like Matt Riddle, but he lost. Weirdly clean.
That's what I was saying. I'm just like, that match was interesting because I thought Imperium was gonna do some shenanigans and distract, but no, Matt lost clean. And you know, I guess we're done for right now with the will they won't they breakup of Imperium, because obviously, you know, that's not a thing no more. Yeah, the Logan Paul backstage interview we already talked about. This video package was weird. It reminded me of like a senior high school project with song choice and everything. And then to close out the first hour, probably the best thing going on with Raw right now is what's happening with Alpha Academy and the Viking Raiders.
Alpha Academy is just, you know, amazing. Can I get Alpha Academy versus Chase U?
Be like, which one is the best college?
At all the schools?
That would be amazing. But yeah. So this match, we saw the singles debut of Maxine Dupri versus Valhalla, aka Sarah Logan. I already knew going into this wasn't going to be an instant classic, but you know what? I was entertained by this whole match. That finisher though that Maxine has, she's been watching Japanese women's wrestling because that was crazy.
Yeah, it's one of those that was unfortunately skipped.
See, we got to work on that because this match was entertaining as all hell, and I was surprised that Maxine gets the win here with the finisher.
We're gonna find it.
God, this was so much fun, and just the fact that Otis gets on the ring and encourages her like to do the worm, and while it looked like the worm needed some oiling because she was a little stiff when doing it, this was just entertaining, and I love that the crowd was behind this, as silly as it was.
I like her in-ring gear, the take on the singlet.
Right? It's awesome. This little faction of Chad, Otis, and Maxine is something I never knew I needed, but I'm so happy we have it, and I want them to stay together for a little bit of time.
They probably will. Valhalla scares me.
See, she's like Sarah Logan, Valhalla, whatever you want to call her. Like, her character work is great now that she's back with the Viking Raiders, and her wrestling is nothing to sneeze at either. Like, you couldn't tell that she just had a whole baby not that long ago.
Here's my question. Does she put something on her feet, or does she intentionally get her feet super dirty before she goes to the ring?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a little mixture of both. I know that outside of wrestling, Eric of the Viking Raiders and her are actually married, and they have a whole entire farm. So I also think it might be intentional too, but it could also be a mixture of both. Like, honestly, this was an entertaining match. This was a lot of fun. And then we get to hour 2 where things kind of spiral out of control a little bit.
That worm is so weird.
Like, I know, it looked like it needs a little bit of oil on it, but this was entertaining. So things got a little weird because we get this quick backstage segment, which basically has us Shinsuke and Tommaso Ciampa announcing to each other that they're going to be in the Battle Royale, which hurts my heart on so many levels. Like,
LA Knight, I swear to God, if LA Knight does not win the Battle Royale, I am going to stop watching WWE.
we talked about this on SmackDown. Like, it makes no sense to throw Sheamus and LA Knight in here. Like I said, this Battle Royale is the epitome of, oh crap, like, we didn't do the build right, so now we don't have. No, you know what? I'm not even gonna give them that excuse, because we had potentially 4 women's matches we could have had on SummerSlam, and now we got cut to 2, and the 2 that we picked, in my opinion, didn't need to happen on the pay-per-view, but we'll get into those in a little bit. So since Shinsuke and Tommaso are in the Battle Royale, they're going to be facing each other a little bit later. Next comes everybody's favorite, the Judgment Day, as they all walk into the ring. I will say it was nice to see Judgment Day not start the show like they have been the last couple of weeks, but they waited until we got into hour 2 to do so. All the guys run down through their accomplishments, and then poor Rhea Ripley, I know you're trying, like, you said you've ran through the women's division. I'm like, have you though? Have you? Because the only women that you really ran through is Natalya and Liv and Raquel. But that's not the whole Raw women's roster. You still have Becky and Trish and Zoe and a whole bunch of other women who have yet to be on television since the draft. But then, to my surprise, because I was given false hope, all of a sudden Raquel Rodriguez comes out and then she starts fighting Rhea in the ring. And the Judgment Day boys are kind of useless here. They just watch and let it happen.
Well, yeah, because, they can't hit women.
But then Dominic steps in to kind of distract Raquel, and then Rhea starts beating up Raquel and attacking her knee. And so I was like, okay. So I was like, it took us long enough to get here, but all right, cool. So Rhea has somebody to face at SummerSlam, right? Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit. So after that segment, I'm going to admit this is the only time I will utter these words with Ronda Rousey in the sentence. This first half of this video package that we got of outlining Ronda and Shayna's friendship and the career path that they took, I actually really liked this.
This was actually a really good. That's how you do a video package. It must have been 2 different people. They probably got some interns doing Cody and Brock, and stick to crab and coffee, you two. To those interns that did that video package, especially whoever picked the music. If you picked the music,
pick like what was at the top of the TikTok charts for that one.
Right, and then whoever did this one is professionals.
I
am such a hater. I'm sorry.
It is okay, because I agree with you, because the Cody Brock video package was fine if you're like a high school student, but to me this is how a wrestling video package should work, because you had images and videos while you also had actual sit down interviews with the participants of said match, going through everything. And I can't believe this. I was like, this is probably, as sad as it is to say, this is probably the best women's built match that we're getting for this year's SummerSlam. Like, this sold me. This was only one half of a 2-part video package we got for this match, and I was sold. And I'm like, okay, like, I'm actually invested in this match at SummerSlam between these two, which we'll also talk about, because their match at SummerSlam is going to be under MMA rules, so they're just going to kick the shit out of each other, and I'm kind of here for it.
What even is this like just an actual, is this like a shoot fight? Is that what we're getting?
I don't know. If that's the case, then I will eat crow, and I'll be like, while I still have personal issues with Ronda as a person, like, my hope is that they kill each other, they kick the crap out of each other, but ultimately I will be okay with this match if Shayna goes over. But we'll see what happens with that. So yeah, this first half sold me, and then we got the announcement that their match will be under MMA rules, so we'll see what that entails on Saturday. Then we actually got a pretty decent match until the end, because next we have Shinsuke Nakamura taking on Tommaso Ciampa.
This is not, but I just saw an interview that Paul Heyman did with Stephen A. Smith. For my actual sports fans out there. Paul Heyman just goes, "Hey, I'm the greatest of all time." And Stephen A. Smith goes, "Well, I mean, it was Bobby the Brain Heenan back then." You know what Paul said?
What did he say?
Screw him, he's dead.
Damn, Paul being a
heel. He goes off. Paul Heyman. I fucking love Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman out here doing the Lord's work, being a heel.
Shinsuke versus Tommaso Ciampa.
This was actually a really fun match, and I'm also upset. I'm like, y'all couldn't put this on like SummerSlam. Okay, whatever.
Why'd they ring gear look the same though?
Right? I was like, no, do not put them in a tag team because Johnny Gargano has been healed and I need my DIY. I'm still upset. I'm like, how do you not get Miz and Bronson versus a reunited DIY on SummerSlam? Like, I know.
I think they're saving so much shit for fucking Mania. That's still half a year away.
I'm like, WWE, you technically have 4 fucking pay-per-views after SummerSlam left this year. You could give us something. And I'm just like, ugh. Well, I mean, I don't count Crown Jewel as like an official pay-per-view, but we have.
Oh, we still haven't had Crown Jewel yet, have we?
No, so the 4 remaining pay-per-views for WWE is in September we have Payback, October we have Fastlane, the beginning of November is Crown Jewel, and then literally that Saturday during Thanksgiving week after Thanksgiving is Survivor Series. And then that's it for WWE because they don't have a December pay-per-view. Which I'm like, thank God we don't need one.
Give us a break.
I don't know, man. Like, this SummerSlam build has tainted the summer season for WWE because legit, they were actually doing pretty good from Backlash to Night of Champions to Money in the Bank. Like, we'll say we'll wait. But back to the match at hand. This was a fun match. Shinsuke ends up getting the win here by pulling of the tights, so I don't think this feud is over, which I'm okay with.
Yeah, they did it on purpose so they can continue to push this feud at least for another week or two.
Which I'm okay with. Get Shinsuke and Tommaso on my television and just... Honestly, the only critique I have is, like, give them 20 minutes. Just let them kill each other. It's great.
Give them a good match, but don't end it with Shinsuke hitting somebody in the balls again.
Please, no. We don't need that. That really hurt the AJ Shinsuke feud when that happened. It was horrible. We try to escape SmackDown when we talk about Raw, but unfortunately we can never escape it because literally they aired a recap of what happened on SmackDown between Roman and Jay. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. I was like, what is going on? This is on SmackDown. I don't need to recap of Raw.
Yeah, I'm so tired of Bloodline.
I have the sneaky suspicion that Roman is winning at SummerSlam and I'm going to cry.
Even if he does, get so we can get to another storyline.
Right? Can we take? As long as we take a break from the Bloodline for a bit. Like, I'm fine either way. I would still like Jay to win, but I don't know if he's going to. I doubt it, but we'll see. But we got this recap, and then we get this backstage segment. So this is where the false hope came in because Rhea and Raquel were fighting earlier, and then we see Raquel back in the office. I'm like, okay, so what's happening? Adam Pearce is literally the heel and the villain of he is the heel of this episode because he tells Raquel, he's just like, so you're going to get your match with Rhea when you're medically cleared. And I'm just like, oh, great. So we're not getting this match at SummerSlam. All right. Disappointment number 1 of the night right there. So you mean to tell me that your World Heavyweight Women's Champion is not having a SummerSlam match? Great. Real quickly, I got to look at something real quick, but Minnie, why don't you air the grievances and what you think about what's happening right now? That no Rhea on SummerSlam, no mommy.
I'm sad, man. I like mommy. No, but I'm not gonna talk about that. I'm talking about something else. This comes from Russell Ops on Twitter. Apparently Booker T is not super bought in on Gabe Stevenson. That's fine, but yeah, no mommy. They just butchered the women's division. I don't know what's going on. It's across everywhere except for TNA. I'm not sure what's going on right now, man. Like, apparently, check out the AEW reviews because JBL got his accountability corner. We need to get that over here on Raw and SmackDown. Because JBL, please come join us for one of these so we can get you to your accountability corner. But yeah, they just butchered. They're so bought in. There's only 2 storylines that they're pushing for SummerSlam, which is stupid. They're really only pushing Cody and Brock and the stupid Bloodline stuff. You have Trish versus Becky, somehow not on the card. We'll talk about that match later too. That match was put. Then they don't have. You don't have anything to do with the Judgment. You don't have anything to do with the other Women's Championship. There's a whole nother belt. Do something with it. The fuck. But yeah, it's all a bunch of. We need JB over here for an accountability corner is what we need. We know the rant. But I learned that Booker T's not bought in on Gabe Stevenson. What's his name? Gabe Stevenson.
Mm-hmm.
This is from WrestleOps, which I think is a pretty good source on the Twitters.
Right.
He said they quoted him, Booker T on Gable Stevenson. He said he ain't no Kurt Angle. Angle came in and was willing to fall in and dive into learning this business. I'm on the fence with this kid, not bought in.
Yeah, but Booker T says a lot of crazy stuff about a lot of people.
That is true. It's Booker T. He did say the N-word on live TV talking about Hulk Hogan. So,
yeah,
back in the Harlem Heat days. But yeah, no, I was just saying how it's like they just like across the two big major promotions, 2 of the 3, just women's it doesn't matter if you're a woman. Like, unless your name is Rhea Ripley or Charlotte Flair, who cares?
Not even Rhea, because like we just saw, okay. She's not on SummerSlam.
Well, the thing is though, like she's still getting pushed though. She's still being shown to be a strong woman. I mean, she put Wesley through a table just the other day. But I wonder if there's an actual like legit injury going on with Raquel. That's why there's nothing going on.
I don't know, man. It's just like, so Rhea's not at SummerSlam, so that title has not been it's only been defended.
It's been defended since what, Backlash?
Like, it's only been defended twice. No, 3 times. Once at Backlash. If you even call the defense at Night a champion a defense, because she just literally like squashed Natty in like a minute.
You know how many times Seth has defended his belt so far?
He's defended it 17 times across television, pay-per-views, and house shows. Like, there's something wrong there.
For like 45 days or something like that?
Exactly. It's ridiculous. So
that's more title defenses than Roman does in a whole year.
For reals. So Raquel will face Rhea for the title when she's cleared. So that means to tell me it's going to be on television. And
they might be saving some of the stuff for Survivor Series or Royal Rumble. The next 2 big ones.
I guess, but like, come on, man. Like,
they're just full sending 2 storylines for SummerSlam. They're full sending the Bloodline bullshit, and they're full sending Cody versus Brock.
We'll talk about. Well, let's talk about.
Isn't being defended on the only 3 titles are being defended on the show. Out of the 15 that are on the roster, you have not even the tag belts are being defended. You have the Intercontinental, the SmackDown Women's Championship, or is it that was just the
WWE Championship, and then you have Roman's title being defended at
Undisputed, the Women's title, and the Intercontinental. The only 3 being defended.
No World Heavyweight Women's, no tag team, no women's tag team, no.
Oh, and Seth. I thought Seth is actually being defended.
Well, so far.
I just completely forgot Seth is even having a match on the card. That's how, like, they showed probably 3 minutes of Seth and Finn, which is going to be a banger of a match, but I think that SummerSlam is going to be the fall of the Judgment Day.
Yeah, we'll save our thoughts afterwards because we'll talk about SummerSlam a little bit because it looks like we have our final card. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then we'll revisit it on SmackDown too get Professor's thoughts. But after that segment, since we are talking about Brock and Cody, this is where they have their face-to-face. And Brock's like, I won't face you, Cody, unless you shake my hand. And like Cody being
he's just like, he was just like, shake my hand, I respect you. If you don't, I'll see you on Saturday.
And of course, Cody does the dumbest thing a babyface can do and shake the hands. And then the beatdown happens.
Well, Cody started it. He did a suicide dive, hit Brock, and then Brock was like, hey, guess what? I'm big boy. You're not. We ain't in it. And with him getting hit the steps 1,500 times, Brock leaving and then coming back, leaving and coming back, and leaving and coming back like he normally does. And to the F5. So, I mean, in good news, it looks like Cody's going to win the feud.
Honestly, he has to, in my opinion. He has to win this feud. If he doesn't win at SummerSlam...
This feud should have never happened. Or should have ended last pay-per-view.
But no, because WWE, they're just dragging this out because they don't have anything for Cody in the works. And then, according to reports, Cody's next feud is supposedly be Bray Wyatt, and I don't like that because it doesn't do anything for either man.
Cody versus Roman or Cody
versus Seth. Like if we're holding off to Cody versus Roman 2 for WrestleMania, like Cody versus Seth would be fine. Like I'm honest, like Cody needs to win on Saturday. I will be happy that oh God, I really hope I hope we're done with this feud because if we drag it out one more pay-per-view, I'm like Cody's
I like Brock.
Floundering.
I'm a huge Brock Lesnar
Me too. And I don't blame them.
Yeah,
I don't blame either one. It's just that the booking is always like default. Oh, let's put Brock in a feud with somebody.
I have to say I'm a Brock Lesnar fan. If I don't, he's going to find me and he's going to hunt me for sport in his farm out in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, we don't want that. Cowboy Brock scares me, especially, let's not. So that face-to-face kind of ended out hour 2. Hour 3 is kind of where madness happens because it started off great and then it kind of just spiraled into craziness. So we open hour 3, right? So backstage segment happens. So Chad Gable is going to be facing Gunther in a beat the clock challenge, right? So immediately my first thought is like, okay, I was like, why are we jobbing out Gable? But it is what it is.
Gable's about to get squashed for 5 minutes, and it turns out he's only squashed for 4.
No, exactly. And it was so hilarious because he technically won that match because he survived the 5 minutes. And as they were about to announce his name, because that first 5 minutes was pretty okay. I mean, Gunther was like playing up the heel, like I only need 30 seconds. And then as he kept looking at the clock, seeing it was getting closer and closer, then he's like, oh shit, this kid is actually a threat.
I forgot how fucking strong Gable is.
Mm-hmm.
He bridged with Gunther's full weight on him. He neck bridged. Crown of his head. That was insane.
And Gable survives, and as they were about to announce him as the winner, Gunther takes the mic. It's like, nah. It's just like, this is what's happening. It's just like, I want a rematch, and we're starting this right now. And then for the next 3.5 minutes, it was a wrestling clinic, if I've ever seen one. And now it makes me want Gable to be the next in line to go after the IC title. Gunther versus Gable.
Nah, I think Gunther falls here.
I don't know,
Gunther
man.
Loses to Drew McIntyre, and I think Gunther goes on to face Seth.
I mean, I would love that. That actually would be great.
And then Seth, either Finn or Seth wins. I think it's going to be Seth. I think either Damian cashes in and wins. So we're going to get Damian versus Gunther. But I think Gunther's going to go after the main belt, and I think Gunther should have the belt going into Mania.
Ooh, that'd be great.
So I think he wins. Whoever wins here, they're going to hold the belt for the next pay-per-view too. And then Gunther's going to take it and hold it for 3-4 months and just dominate everybody who's going to challenge him.
I mean, so that would be fun, but here there's only one wrench in that little plan too, because remember, Gunther is only he's only like 40 days or something away from being the longest IC champion in WWE history, and he has to, in order to beat that record, he has to get to the SmackDown Go Home show before Payback in September. So if
who's the record holder?
Honky Tonk Man.
I don't think they're gonna let it, because they didn't let anybody else break it, and they don't have a bad relationship. They normally only let people break those kind of records if they have a bad relationship with the person that they did it. Like, so I don't think, like, they let Punk's die really quick when he was the longest reigning for the main belt. I don't think they're gonna I think they're gonna let Drew win, or they're gonna let him hold it till Payback and then go for that plan from there, and that Survivor Series let Gunther take it. I don't know.
No, but I agree with you. I think Gunther what sucks is because he's elevated this title and he's had some phenomenal matches in the defense of it. It's just that they haven't really built the stories around the prestige of the Intercontinental that well, but I still enjoy everything. And I agree with you. I think Gunther should be pushed up into the main championship scene for Raw, which I'm cool with. So but I do want to see Chad versus Gunther put on a clinic, like give them 15-20 minutes in the future. Like it would be so fun. And after Gunther restarts the match, for 3.5 minutes, they put on a banger of a match, and then ultimately Gunther wins and beats Gable. But I would like to see another match. I mean, technically they're 1-1 because Gable beat the clock, and then Gunther won this restart. So give me another match, or give me a couple matches down the line. Alpha Academy versus Imperium might be something that I didn't know I wanted until now.
Right.
Oh, that'd be so good. Okay, so this is where I'm going to probably like curse the most, because next up we get this match between Becky versus Trish.
Was it a match?
No, it was not a match. So we weren't even like 30 seconds in, and then there was a DQ because Zoe Stark gets involved. So Becky technically wins this match after Becky is like trashing Trish up and down the ring and outside of the ring as well. But then the DQ happens from Zoe, and then both Trish and Zoe are heading to the back. I mean, the mask got pulled off and everything. And so I was like, okay, like this was not the match that I wanted, but again, false hope was like, okay, So we're going to get an announcement that this was garbage, so they need to fight each other at SummerSlam. And initially, that's what I thought. So we see, after this match, we see Trish and Zoe in the back walking. And once again, the main villain of this episode, Adam Pearce, be crushing my dreams left and right out here, comes up walking and like chastises Trish and Zoe, be like, that was not the match. That was garbage. This is this is not how it's supposed to go down. And I'm like, awesome, Adam Pearce. So you're going to tell me that we're going to get them at SummerSlam, right? And then Adam Pearce is like, you know what? I'm tired of the excuses. Like, you didn't get enough time to prepare, so I'm going to give you time. I'm like, okay, a couple days might be fine. A couple days to prepare for SummerSlam. And he's like, in 2 weeks. And immediately my heart sank. I'm like, so no Becky and Trish at SummerSlam. Okay. In 2 weeks.
No Becky and Trish, and we're not even getting the U.S. title defended on SummerSlam. What the hell is this card?
What is happening? We'll talk about it because, like, earlier in the month, like, I sent in our group chat the predictions card that we had versus what we're getting. It's like the main brand versus the Wish.com version. This current card is like the Wish.com version, but we'll talk about it towards the end. So in 2 weeks in Winnipeg, Ontario, Canada, I believe is where it is. Like, Trish versus Becky is going to be happening on a fucking Monday Night Raw. How
Trish is winning that?
Yeah, Trish is
winning it.
It's in her.
Yeah, it's Canada.
How the fuck do you not have Trish and Becky on SummerSlam? Becky motherfucking Lynch. Like, how the hell is she booted off the card? And it's crazy because someone reminded me that they did this to Seth last year at SummerSlam too. Because it was supposed to be Matt versus Seth, and then they pulled that match off the card.
Well, wasn't it because Matt got in trouble?
I think that was a little bit later that he got in trouble, but they pulled that card. Seth was pissed, and now Becky's not even on the card. And then I was also reminded that Becky versus Bianca at SummerSlam last year almost didn't happen. Becky and Bianca had to fight creative and management to get that match on SummerSlam. What the fuck is happening? How do you not have Trish and Becky at SummerSlam?
SummerSlam is starting to be built like the Royal Rumble. 2021 Royal Rumble.
Last year's Royal Rumble was garbage. And literally, this is what this build to SummerSlam is. I'm like, how do you fuck up a Big Four pay-per-view like this? Like, come on.
Like, unless the matches are absolute bangers, it's shaping up to be pretty bad. Like, right now, the only match I'm actually excited to see is Gunther versus Drew McIntyre.
Oh, that match is gonna slap. And for me personally, while I don't like Ronda, this video package has the video packages we got me actually invested. Be like, you know what? I could kind of get to this from a story building perspective.
It's the most properly built story match so far out of anything we've seen in WWE.
Exactly. I'm
like Sammy and KO versus Jay and Jimmy Uso at WrestleMania Night 1. The
storylines for SummerSlam is all over the place. So yeah, we don't even get Becky versus Trish at SummerSlam. We're gonna get it in 2 weeks on a random Monday Night Raw.
Random Monday Night Raw, you're getting a pay-per-view match. We're also gonna Santos Escobar versus Austin Theory on next week's Raw after.
Of next week's SmackDown, I was just like,
so it's like, do we even care about these stories?
Like, yeah, I don't know what's happening right now. Like, whether you want to say Vince got his hands on what is happening, if not, I don't personally care. I blame everybody in creative, from Vince to H to everybody else involved. I'm like, I don't know what's happening backstage, you guys, but it is not the build for SummerSlam is very, very tough right now. And how do I put this? You see, and I don't want like companies to compete against each other, but I'm like, you want people to be watching SummerSlam, right? WWE, but you have to realize that you should have put this in your head to build these matches and have good matches. And I'm not saying one match on AEW Collision, which is also airing the same time on Saturday, is going to deter it. But you have probably one of the most entertaining stories right now. You have Punk versus Ricky Starks happening on Collision on Saturday. And I'm just like, you guys, I was like, you did not have that much of a hard time to build up to SummerSlam in order for it to be a banger. You just made me not care. And this is where I'm going to rant a little bit. WWE has fucked up the good faith that they had with me, because their summer season so far has actually been pretty stellar. Not like Backlash was a banger. Night of Champions was decent. Money in the Bank was so much fun. And then SummerSlam is being built to be really god awful. Like, this is oh my God. I'm like, how did you fuck this up, you guys? Like, this is the most messy build to a big pay-per-view that I've seen in quite some time. And yeah, again, we'll talk about it in a little bit. Then we get the second half of this video package of Ronda and Shayna, where Shayna actually starts crying a little bit. I'm like, and the Academy Award goes to because Ronda talks about, it's like, my goddaughter is gonna have to watch me beat up her mom, and I'm like, damn, that's real. Again, while I may not like Ronda Rousey, this is the best SummerSlam story that has been built to the actual pay-per-view, and I'm actually invested in this match. So then, for the umpteenth, thousandth time, in our main event, we get Sami and Seth teaming up to take on the Judgment Day, which is being represented by Damian Priest and Dirty Dominic Mysterio. Again, this was a fun match, but I feel like the last couple weeks I've seen various iterations of this match happen the last couple of weeks, just with different flavors.
Because KO is hurt.
Which I understand, but I'm just like, I think what they should have done is they should have switched this main event for last week's main event. I think you should have had this match last week, and then last week's beatdown of Seth after the contract signing is what should have happened this week. They put things out of order. So the finishing sequence was chaotic as messy, but I loved it. So Seth is on the ground and he's hurting. So Damian calls for Finn to bring in the briefcase. Finn does so, but there's some hesitation right there. And I was like, ooh, the drama is unfolding. So then Damian ends up getting the briefcase, but then out of nowhere, what is it? I think Sami hits the haluva kick on Damian.
Hits the briefcase, hits him in the head. It looked like it actually clocked him.
Yeah, because then Damian was bleeding at the end as the show went off the air. And then Seth takes out Dominic and gets the pin for the 1, 2, 3. Sami and Seth are your winners. So I'm interested to see what's happening between Seth and Finn's match at SummerSlam, like Damian Priest, what's going to go down with that. Again, I thought this was a fun match, but ultimately we've seen various iterations of this match the last couple of weeks, and in my opinion, you could have switched main event segments, have this match happen last week, and then Seth getting beat down by the Judgment Day should have happened this week to end Raw, which I'm okay with, but that is going to be the end of our Raw review. So before we talk about SummerSlam a little bit, let's do our grading. So, Minnie, on a scale of 1 to 10 minis, what do you give this Monday Night Raw and why?
I give it a solid 5. Besides, the absolute butchering of the women's division, it wasn't super bad. Besides the random, hey, here's a Cody promo, here's a Cody Brock video that was way unnecessary, long and weird ass music. It was solid. It was a solid go home show.
Yeah, I agree. Again, some stuff did get progressed, but there was some questions I had. The Raw women's roster is getting butchered. Everything is in Bizarro world. And again, the Cody Brock video package didn't necessarily need to happen, because but anyways, I kind of agree with you. I think I'm going to give this a solid 5 out of 10 minis. I don't think anything was god awful, but Lord have mercy. It was an interesting one for sure. All right, so I don't want to talk about this too long because we're going to have a whole ass review with all of us, hopefully together, but let's talk about what we thought we were getting for SummerSlam versus what we're actually getting. So, all right. Well, so at the beginning of July, I sent in our group chat, somebody had posted the fantasy booking of what SummerSlam could potentially look like and versus what we're getting. So let me put this in perspective. So technically, this is the fantasy booking. So this was what I sent my co-host. So the matches that were going to happen at SummerSlam in our heads was Seth versus Finn for the World Heavyweight Championship, Roman versus Jay for the Undisputed title, Brock versus Cody, LA Knight versus Austin Theory for the US Championship, Gunther versus Drew for the IC Championship. Yeah, we'll talk about that right now. Logan versus Ricochet, Also on this fantasy booking picture, Edge versus Grayson Waller, which would have been great. Ronda versus Shayna, the triple threat for the WWE Women's Championship between Asuka, Bianca, and Charlotte. Rhea versus Raquel for the World Heavyweight Women's Championship. And Trish versus Becky. So, the only matches that are still happening are Seth and Finn, Roman and Jay, Brock and Cody, Gunther and Drew, Logan and Ricochet, Shayna and Ronda, the women's triple threat. Those are the only, and then added to this was a battle royale. So, yeah, the matches that we're missing actually kind of make me mad. Rhea versus Raquel's not happening at SummerSlam. Becky versus Trish is not happening. Grayson versus Edge would have been fun as hell, but we got that match at Madison Square Garden, and then that was it. Let's talk about the most egregious thing. LA Knight versus Austin Theory would have been a fucking amazing match, and Santos versus Austin I think is still going to be great, but the fact that we don't have that, the United States Championship is not being defended at what we could obviously say is the most American WWE pay-per-view for the main roster at SummerSlam. What the fuck is happening?
Right.
And the fact that LA Knight is being stuck in this battle royale, so is Sheamus and Shinsuke and Tommaso. I'm just like, what are we doing? And unless I'm told otherwise when Saturday rolls around, like, who cares about this battle royal? If there was like, hey, the winner of this gets a future championship match of their choice, I'm like, okay, then I'm invested. But I don't think that's going to happen, Minnie.
He's just fucking fucked. It's fucked right now. Didn't we say we're going to see how SummerSlam goes and then
reassess?
Make a decision? Yeah.
But here's the funny thing. Like, this build to SummerSlam has been god-awful. And I don't
hope the event's actually good.
Yeah, so I have to wait until the actual event is over. But how, WWE, do you fuck it up? Because, yes, I still have had some questions about certain decisions being made over the, June and July. But honestly, in my opinion, WWE had a great track record with Backlash, Night of Champions, and Money in the Bank. I had questions between.
SummerSlam build has just been.
Oh my God, exactly. I'm just like, how do you fuck up the build for one of your big four pay-per-views? Holy crap, man. I don't want to be that guy, man, but I'm going to go back to what I said when we reviewed the Great American Bash. Road Dogg and Shawn Michaels and the NXT kids are actually doing really well. And, like, I don't know, man. Like, you gutted the roster and they still managed to put on a great pay-per-view, and their build to the Great American Bash has been better than SummerSlam.
They have more than 2 workhorses.
Exactly. You have so many storylines going on in NXT, and yes, I will be that guy. I will forever and a day protect my NXT kids because they are putting in the work. And then I saw a video as a side note that the next person that Carmelo should face in the feud is Carmelo versus West in that main event picture. I'm like, give it to me now. But anyways, but that is going to conclude our Monday Night Raw review. This go-home show was okay. It wasn't horrible, but there was a lot of questions. You will see me and Minnie, and also joined by the Professor for our SmackDown review later this week, as we have to review the go-home show for SmackDown. Unfortunately, because that's the rule we have here. But hopefully, honestly, 2 hours of SmackDown is like a palate cleanser, even if it's not the greatest, because I don't have to sit through 3 hours of mediocre Raw. But that is going to be it for the Monday Night Raw review. If you enjoyed this review and want to check out other long-form reviews we have, you can go and check us out on our YouTube page, where we pretty much review every single television show. We just uploaded a video yesterday where the SmackDown squad sat down together to review NXT's The Great American Bash PLE. I indoctrinated Minnie and the Professor into possibly maybe watching more NXT, but we're still working on that. We also cover the other WWE shows, NXT, SmackDown. We cover all the AEW shows, Collision, Dynamite, Rampage, and we even cover Ring of Honor and Impact. So make sure you check those out. You can also follow us all over the social medias at BC WrestlePod to stay up to date on when new videos come out, as well as all the shenanigans we talk about outside of our videos. You can look forward to more reviews this week as we review the rest of the product, and especially you can look forward to our review next week when we all sit down and talk about SummerSlam. Did it end up being pretty decent, or was it as god-awful as we thought? You're going to have to stick around to find out. But as always, this has been Mikey with my co-host here for the Raw crew, Minnie. Remember, all of you out there in Bi-Conics Wrestling Land, take care of yourself, love one another, and until next time, adios and sayonara. Thanks for watching.
Bye.